Hi, so this commenter would like everyone to know that my queer and feminist readings of scripture do not align with the vast majority of scholars. So let's talk about it. If you don't know, my name is Maddie Mae Modal. I'm a Bible scholar specializing in gender and sexuality, and I do different liberative readings of scripture. So I use a lot of queer theory and feminist theory in interacting with the Bible. And some people would say that that is a less accurate or less academic approach. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this. It's not just the case in biblical studies. When a white man or woman reads a text in a certain way, that is just called a reading of the text. But then when a queer person reads the text or a person of color reads the text, then that reading gets labeled thusly. So the interpretations of the white men and women are normalized and generic readings. But then the liberal people come in and they have a specific reading for a specific text and they get their grubby little fingers all over it, and suddenly the text is biased and there's an agenda, and oh my gosh, everybody just go home, pack it up. Not worth your time. This author, Joash P. Thomas, author of The Justice of Jesus, talks about this in his book, and I'm going to read a short passage from it. This is where he's quoting from Eve Parker. Where theologies that stem from the privileged white male elites are deemed as trustworthy knowledge in comparison to the contextual theologies that stem from the bodies of the marginalized. This is Thomas's voice now. Parker calls this a symptom of a colonial theological outlook of Christian mission shaped by colonizing empires, even going as far as labeling this as an epistemic genocide. So this is why you're going to get people like this in my comment section who come and like to tell you that I have a specific agenda or goal in my interpretation of the text. But all of those other scholars who are legit in doing their historical critical method and do not have an agenda at all, and they're just using data-driven approaches, they're the trustworthy ones. On this page, you're going to find readings of the New Testament that overtly and explicitly side with the marginalized, the silenced, and the oppressed. There's another word for it. It's called liberation theology, and you'll get a really good explanation of liberation theology and liberative approaches to reading scripture in this book, The Justice of Jesus by Joash P. Thomas. What these other scholars are doing with their historical, cultural, critical methods is really important, and that's actually the work that I do in my dissertation. And they're doing something different than I am. And I'm afraid that doesn't mean it's any less than or less accurate than what they're doing. So yeah, when you start to think about a true and accurate reading of the text, I want you to ask yourself, who decides what is true and who decides what is accurate? And by whose standards are every other identities measured against? I'll wait. Yeah, it's the white man, okay? The white man fucks up everything.